The world is full of forgotten places, places reclaimed by nature, places lost to time. But some forgotten places hold secrets. Dangerous secrets. This is the story of one such place, an abandoned facility in Russia, hidden for decades. For years, rumors have circulated about this facility, whispers of hazardous materials and environmental threats. But the truth remained shrouded in secrecy. Until now, new evidence has come to light. Evidence that reveals the true nature of this facility and the potential danger it poses. This is a story about government cover-ups, environmental negligence, and the human cost of secrecy. This is a story that demands to be told. The Soviet Union was obsessed with secrecy. It shrouded its operations in a veil of disinformation and denial. This culture of secrecy extended to its vast military-industrial complex. Across the Soviet Empire, secret cities were built, facilities designed for weapons research, nuclear development, and other sensitive activities. Many of these facilities were abandoned after the Soviet collapse in 1991. Left behind were stockpiles of hazardous materials, chemicals, radioactive waste, and other toxic substances. The Russian government, grappling with economic turmoil, often lacked the resources to properly secure or decontaminate these sites. This legacy of secrecy and neglect has created a toxic time bomb, one that threatens not only Russia but the entire world. One of the most significant abandoned facilities is the Tartus naval base in Syria. This base, once a bustling hub of military activity, now stands eerily silent, a shadow of its former self. Established in 1971, Tartus was the Soviet Union's only Mediterranean naval base. It was a symbol of Soviet naval power and ambition, strategically positioned to monitor and influence the geopolitics of the region. The base served as a vital logistical and repair hub for the Soviet Navy. It was equipped to handle a variety of naval operations, from routine maintenance to emergency repairs, ensuring the Soviet fleet remained operational. It provided access to the Mediterranean Sea and allowed the Soviets to project power in the region. The presence of Soviet ships in these waters was a constant reminder of their reach and influence. After the Soviet collapse, Russia retained control of Tartus. The base continued to serve as a critical point for Russian naval operations, albeit with reduced capacity and influence. In recent years, Russia has used Tartus to support its military intervention in the Syrian civil war. The base provided logistical support, repair facilities, and a strategic foothold for Russian forces in the region. However, with the fall of the Assad regime in December 2024, the future of the base is uncertain. The political landscape in Syria has shifted dramatically, leaving Tartus in a precarious position. There are concerns that Tartus could be abandoned, leaving behind a toxic legacy of hazardous materials. The environmental impact of such an abandonment could be severe, with potential contamination of the surrounding area. The base is known to have stored fuel, ammunition, and other potentially dangerous substances. If not properly managed, these materials could pose significant risks to both the environment and local populations. Another Russian military facility in Syria, the Hmeimim Air Base, raises similar concerns. Established in 2015, Hmeimim has been a key asset for Russia's air campaign in Syria. The base is home to advanced fighter jets, attack helicopters, and long-range bombers. It has played a crucial role in supporting Syrian government forces and striking rebel positions. However, with the Assad regime's collapse, the strategic rationale for maintaining Hmeimim is unclear. Russia may choose to withdraw its forces and abandon the base. If so, the environmental impact could be significant. Air bases typically store large quantities of fuel, lubricants, and other hazardous materials. Without proper disposal, these substances could contaminate the surrounding environment. Section 5. Environmental hazards, ticking time bombs. The environmental risks posed by abandoned Russian facilities are substantial. Many of these sites contain hazardous materials that can leach into the soil and water. Chemicals, heavy metals, and radioactive waste can have devastating effects on ecosystems. They can poison wildlife, contaminate drinking water sources, and render land unusable for agriculture. The long-term consequences of environmental contamination can be severe. Increased rates of cancer, birth defects, and other health problems have been linked to exposure to hazardous materials. Despite the risks, the Russian government has been slow to address the issue of abandoned facilities. Lack of funding, bureaucratic inertia, and a culture of secrecy have hampered cleanup efforts. Section 6. Health risks, the silent threat. The health risks associated with abandoned facilities are not limited to environmental contamination. These sites often harbor toxic chemicals that have seeped into the soil and groundwater, posing long-term dangers to the ecosystem and human health. These sites also pose direct threats to human health. The physical state of these buildings is often perilous, with broken windows, crumbling walls, and exposed pipes creating hazardous conditions. Many facilities are structurally unsound and at risk of collapse. The danger of falling debris and unstable structures makes these sites extremely dangerous for anyone who ventures inside. They may contain asbestos, lead paint, and other hazardous building materials. These substances can cause severe respiratory issues, neurological damage, and other serious health problems if disturbed and inhaled. People entering these sites without proper safety equipment are at risk of serious injury or death. The lack of awareness and proper signage exacerbates the danger, making it a silent threat to unsuspecting individuals. Moreover, abandoned facilities can attract criminal activity. The isolation and lack of surveillance make them ideal locations for illegal activities, further endangering the community. They may be used for illegal dumping, drug trafficking, or other illicit activities. These actions not only degrade the environment but also pose significant health risks to nearby residents. This creates additional risks for local communities. The presence of hazardous waste and criminal activities can lead to increased crime rates and a decline in property values, affecting the overall quality of life. The lack of transparency surrounding abandoned facilities makes it difficult to assess the full extent of the health risks. Incomplete or redacted reports hinder efforts to understand the true impact of these sites. Without accurate information, it is impossible to develop effective mitigation strategies. Comprehensive studies and open communication are essential to address the silent threat posed by these abandoned facilities and protect public health. Section 7. International outcry. Demands for transparency. The international community has expressed growing concern about the risks posed by abandoned Russian facilities. Governments and organizations have called on Russia to take action. The European Union has provided funding for environmental remediation projects in Russia. However, these efforts have been hampered by corruption and lack of access to sensitive sites. The United Nations has also urged Russia to improve its management of hazardous materials. The UN Environment Program has warned that abandoned facilities pose a global threat. Despite international pressure, Russia has resisted calls for greater transparency. The government maintains that it is taking steps to address the issue but has provided little concrete evidence to support these claims. Section 8. The need for accountability, a global imperative. The issue of abandoned Russian facilities is not just a domestic problem. It is a global challenge that requires international cooperation and accountability. The transboundary nature of environmental contamination means that the consequences of inaction will be felt far beyond Russia's borders. Air and water pollution do not respect national boundaries. Moreover, the risk of hazardous materials falling into the wrong hands is a serious security concern. Terrorist groups or rogue states could use these materials to cause mass casualties. The international community must hold Russia accountable for its actions and demand greater transparency. This includes providing access for international inspectors and sharing information about the location and contents of abandoned facilities. Section 9. Conclusion. Unveiling the truth, protecting the future. The story of Russia's abandoned facilities is a cautionary tale about the dangers of secrecy and neglect. These sites, once bustling with activity, now stand as silent witnesses to a bygone era, their decaying structures a stark reminder of the past. The hazardous materials left behind pose a significant threat to the environment and public health, making it imperative that we address these issues head-on. It is a reminder that the legacy of the Cold War continues to haunt us. The remnants of this period are not just historical artifacts, they are active dangers that require our immediate attention. The toxic legacy of these abandoned facilities is a ticking time bomb that could have catastrophic consequences if left unchecked. The time for secrecy is over. Transparency is crucial in addressing these hidden dangers. By shedding light on these issues, we can mobilize resources and expertise to mitigate the risks. The changing seasons over these abandoned sites symbolize the passage of time, but also the urgency of our actions. The world deserves to know the truth about these facilities and the risks they pose. Public awareness and pressure can drive change, compelling authorities to take necessary actions. The voices of protesters and the media play a vital role in bringing these hidden dangers to the forefront of public consciousness. Russia must be held accountable for its actions and work with the international community to find solutions. Collaboration and cooperation are essential in tackling this global issue. By working together, we can develop effective strategies for cleanup and prevention, ensuring a safer future for all. The future of our planet and the health of generations to come depend on it. A clean and thriving environment is not just a dream but a necessity for the well-being of our children and future generations. We owe it to them to take decisive action now. We cannot afford to let these ticking time bombs continue to threaten our safety and well-being. The clock is ticking, and every moment counts. Swift and decisive action is required to neutralize these threats and protect our communities. We must act now to unveil the truth and protect the future. The efforts of activists, scientists, and concerned citizens are crucial in this fight. Together, we can bring about the change needed to secure a safer, healthier world for generations to come.